All right, folks, we're gonna tear into Stranger Things Premium. The bottom is actually the part that says truck this side only. So the end of the cabinet with the buttons and the coin box is here. This would be the bottom of it, and that would be the back, and the back box is gonna be on the opposite side here. So we're gonna move this around. You want to be very careful when you're using these. I tend to use a razor blade that's got the little hook in it. I don't like the sharp edges. You don't really need a lot of bite to go in these boxes. You also always want to be very, very careful. I'm first going to actually open up the top and look down just to make sure that things are situated where I think they are. Last thing you want to do is get something like this and put a razor blade right through the artwork. So I have had situations where legs or something like that maybe fell oddly in the box during shipping. Also, you want to make sure that you've gotten those things kind of discovered before you start jerking things around. So first, and because I'm obsessive, again, it's all about scratches. You don't want to get any of this damaged. I like to be very careful and make sure that I've taken all the scratchy things off the box before I start messing around too much with what's in the box. You want to talk about things being super close to the box. So I got all of the bits there. Quite literally, the shooter knob is right here. Can you see that? Right over here. Very, very close to the end of it. So you want to be really, really careful and make sure you know where things are before you start playing around with that razor blade. Guided setup mode, huh? Upon the next power on of the game, guided setup mode will automatically be entered. Use the service, credit, volume, and menu buttons on the inside of the coin door to navigate and set your settings. We've got giant foam pads, which we don't need. Do not use this ball plunger as a handle. Do not lift. Awesome. They actually had to put, now you know that people have done this, right? Don't try to lift the pinball machine by the plunger handle. If you try to do that, I'm sorry, you're an idiot. You're gonna break your machine, and you kind of deserve it. All right, interesting. I'm gonna be right back, and can you guess what I'm gonna get? Folks, I'm back, and if you guessed that I was gonna go get carpet sliders, you guessed correctly. These are what I was talking about the other day. What's really nice is they've got, the bottoms are nice and smooth, so they easily glide across fabrics, but the inside, there's like a little shoe. So the feet of the pinball machine go in there very, very well, which I'll show you in just a second. So if you want to know what the brand is, hopefully that shows up good on the camera. There's 4 of these. They're 2 3/8. 60 millimeter. They're concave sliders, and these are called magic sliders. You can also get them at magicsliders.com. I don't have any stock in the company, but I can say they make lugging these things around way, way easier, which you'll probably see shortly. So come on over here. What I'm gonna do is I'm actually gonna cut down this side, pull the cardboard down. I'm gonna take and get the front 2 legs, mount them to the top, or to the front rather, and then I'm going to bring the pinball machine down. All right, I've already inspected. I pushed the, there were some legs that were in cardboard here. I pushed those to the back so they will not be hit by my blade. So the blade is just gonna go straight down this corner, straight, and actually this one, I don't even need to go down the corner. I can just pop it free from the cardboard. And I like to, I actually like to keep the fronts of my boxes. I didn't do it regrettably with my Attack from Mars, and I kind of wish I had, just as like a memento, but I'm weird and I like to collect crazy things like that. Super easy actually for you to cut yourself while you're doing this. Sometimes it'll catch a little bit with the blade and then it will suddenly release and you can get yourself, these edges end up being incredibly sharp, so you want to be really, really careful. Take your time. Take your time is the key here. Especially be careful again when you get down to carpet. Now what you don't want to do, and I've seen people do this, they'll get to the bottom and they'll pull up. Don't do that. You got a hook that's going to be coming right for your hand or your body or something. Not smart, my friends. So I cut down this side. Not pretty, but it gets the job done. On this side, I'm just going to separate the cardboard from the glue. There's a natural edge here. Be careful, go slow, you don't want to cut yourself. And check that out. There we go. You found me again? Good, 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 good. If you noticed, I'm using a motion tracking system. What I'll do is I'll actually pick up the camera and I'll pivot it a little bit. So what you can see here, right? Plastic strap. This is holding the back box to the playfield. Don't go getting trigger happy with the razor blade. You don't want to cut this yet. Save this guy for later. And maybe start a band. All right. So, like I said, save this guy for later. Trust me. So, here is the cardboard. What you didn't want to do was lift that cardboard out. If you do that, the legs are going to fall into the box without any kind of protection, and they might scrape up the insides of your brand new pinball machine. So like I said, lean them in the back, cut down one side, separate the other, pull straight down. You saw how easy that was. Then just take the box out. Legs are inside these boxes. I do need to find my bolt because we're gonna mount these guys. You do want to make sure to, if you find instructions, read them as you find them. New lockdown bar latches. Okay, I'm aware of the new lockdown bar latches. 2 people required to maneuver the game. I'm going to ignore that only because, for now, I've done this before. So there's one part where I'll get someone else and you'll see that. But in the meantime, I'm going to do this. I'm going to one-man it. All right. With the keys removed, open the coin door and locate the 2 front molding latches inside front. Okay, that's just about the lockdown bar latches. I already know about this. They basically operate differently on Stern than they do on your Williams tables or your Chicago gaming tables. Even if you've unboxed a dozen of these, it's useful to read the instructions for the ones that specifically come with your game. There's times when there will be certain toys in the game or certain pieces of items inside the game where maybe they're tied down and you actually need to cut the tie down or something like that before you activate the game or start up the game. So you don't want to start up the game, break the toy, and then find out you should have done something. So let's see, tools required, socket wrench, blah, blah, blah. I love this, right? Like, inside the box are the instructions on what to do before unpacking the box. Seems a little bit weird to me. They're telling you on this to, with the top of the box open, remove the 4 foam pieces and the 2 narrow tube boxes, which contain the 4 identical legs with levers. Don't do that. Do it the way that I showed you. Don't do it the way that they're telling you here. At this point, do not cut the strapping. You'll want it to keep the back box secure, right? Carefully cut down the left and right sides. Careful of your floor or carpet, right? Remove 2 bolts per side. Cool. So the bolts are actually right in here, right? And that's what we're going to do next, is we're going to remove these bolts and use them to bolt in the 2 front legs. Carefully take the game down. Set aside the open box. With the 5/8 socket wrench, loosen and remove the 2 leg bolts using supports or 2 people. Prop the rear of the cabinet up. All right. My friends, I think I am ready to go ahead and go to that next step. Before I do that though, there is one thing that I do want to do. I want to take and pull this box up. I'm gonna see if I can rip this. Cool. Isn't that neat? You can do just about anything you want with that. You can use it to wallpaper your home or whatever. Save that guy for later. Let me grab my socket wrench. Something that you're going to want to invest in for sure is an organizer. Make sure that you have your tools ready and raring to go. I've already got a socket wrench all set with my 16, which is what I need to loosen these bolts. Now, one of the things I'm going to do also, just really quick before I bring this guy down, I'm just taking a look at the side art just to make sure that there's no blemishes from factory. I gotta say, this cap looks pretty sweet. There's actually different art on the right side than the left. A lot of times the cab art is symmetrical, so it's the same art on the left and the right sides. It's not symmetrical on this. That's kind of neat. I actually like that you can see different things depending on which side you're looking at. I'll make this unbolting go a lot quicker through the magic of film. What do you guys think of the motion tracking, by the way? I'm using a new camera setup with a motorized gimbal, and it's actually using my iPhone and it's auto tracking. If this works pretty well, I'll use it for future videos. If it doesn't work well, let me know too, and I'll lay off the technology. Okay, so these are the legs. And one more time, we'll just take a quick look. And we will make sure that these all look the same. I'm pretty sure that they do. I can't tell the difference between a front leg and a back leg, so we're just gonna go ahead and use what we got. Use what God gave us. All right. I'm gonna hand tighten at first. You do want to be careful when you're putting these back on. You want to be careful not to over tighten, just because it's possible to damage the actual artwork on the box if you over tighten. So I hand tighten first and then finish off with the ratchet. Now you want the legs to be on there nice and solid, but so that is a decent start to that one. Cool. All right, that seems like it's plenty tight. Seems like it's plenty tight. You want to make sure that they don't wiggle, but like I said, you don't want to put so much bite on there that you're going to cause damage. So carefully going to set this on the table. And my first trick, take the carpet sliders, put them on the bottom here. And I'm going to carefully make sure you got any trippy hazard things out of your way. Carefully, slowly. No points for speed, folks. Okay. Gonna move my fingers out of it. Oh. Boom. And boom. Now, something you might also want to do, I didn't think about this. You may want to take off rings and stuff like that when you do this as well, just to make sure you don't have something that's going to get caught on the table, caught on a leg, maybe hurt you. All right, so now we've got table down on the first two legs. Cool. On the carpet sliders. That's good too. Now, take the box. Look at how easy that moves away. Notice that I cut just a little bit. I actually didn't cut. I tore a little bit of the bottom part, and then I pulled out the bottom piece and it came right off. So I was able to take that whole front panel off and set it aside and save it. Makes this whole thing super easy. Now the next part is to get the buttocks of the table up on my lift there. I'm gonna have to pause the video though, because silly stupid me left a giant CRT on the lift. So I'm gonna have to take care of some stuff. Then I can take care of some stuff. Be right back. All right, so I got my son here, Crowded Attic 400. I've got my lift jack freed up, and my son is gonna listen to me very, very carefully for this next bit. Very important.
You're saying it wrong. Listen to me very carefully.
Listen to me very carefully. I'm going to lift the back end. Yeah, it's very heavy. I'm going to lift. And when I lift, listen to me.
Yeah.
You must make sure I've lifted above here. Do not ram the side with the cart. It's very important.
Okay.
Okay?
I'm gonna take this jacket and shed it for a moment. Now, remember what I said?
Yeah.
Unless I've lifted it above here, don't slide it under.
Yep.
Okay? And you're gonna want to make sure that you're lifting with your knees and not with your back. So, ready? 1, 2, 3.
Okay.
Is it good?
I think so. Just gently.
Bam. Now we're on the lift.
Right.
Also, you'll notice my lift has a nice little carpet thing, like a rubbery thing. That prevents me from damaging the play field.
And now
So,
my dad is going to get the lift to rise up so
There's
we can put the
actually-
legs on.
a foot pedal on the lift. This is super nice, actually, this lift. You can get a pinball dolly. I've seen them. The thing I don't like about the pinball dolly is it's single purpose. This is actually a 1-ton jack. So I can use this for like working on a car, working on other stuff if I really wanted to. But I can also use it for pinballs. So Harbor Freight, they're about $300-400. You can get a cheaper one, like a 1/2-ton dolly, for or lift for I think half the price, like $200.
I'm gonna need to put it up a tiny bit more.
I will. So the first thing I want to do though, actually, go ahead and set those aside.
Okay.
I'm gonna need to take the bolts off before I can do anything with it.
Good idea.
I have seen people try to strong arm this where like one guy's like, oh, I got it, and then like someone else is trying to screw the legs in and everything.
That's how Dad did it with his first pinball machine.
That's how I did it with my first pinball machine, because I'm an idiot. My back was killing me for a while after that. So you don't need to do that, man. You don't need to prove anything. So get yourself a lift. If you're gonna do this a lot, get yourself a lift. And get yourself a friend, because the lift is heavier than hell to get out of the car by itself.
Yeah, they actually, funny story, when they were shipping the lift, they literally had another lift just to transport it.
They used a lift to transport my lift into the car, and then I had to get a friend to help me get the lift out of the car. so I could then use it for my pinball machine.
Yeah.
So if all this stuff sounds exciting to you, trips to Harbor Freight to buy a hydraulic 1-ton lift, having a socket set at the ready. If all this looks like fun and excitement to you, pinball might be your hobby. If all this looks like way too much work, maybe try Pinball Arcade, maybe try Zen Pinball.
And if you're lucky, maybe you could try it on VR.
Yeah, you can try it on VR. VR is pretty good. Alright. So it's okay, actually, if when you lift it a little bit higher than ground level. Because remember, we got carpet sliders that we want to put under those last 2 legs. And then from that point forward, I mean, if you want to, you could use the lift to kind of wheel it around, but it's a little awkward. Also, the pinball machine can kind of teeter-totter back and forth. I find it easier just have it on the carpet sliders and then just strong arm it on the carpet around the room. Your mileage may vary. Never fully tighten one bolt down until you've gotten the other bolt in there. That's a recipe for frustration. Sometimes you can have things not quite thread up the way that you want, and you can actually damage the thread if you force it.
You're gonna need to resummon it.
No, I think we're good. There we go. Tight enough to where it's on there nice and good, not tight enough to where you're biting into the cabinet. All right, awesome. Take my last 2 carpet sliders. Woo!
Oh boy.
Set them right underneath. Set them right underneath. And now I've got a little handle on the jack. I kind of pump it, or you can release it all at once. Doesn't really matter. Now here's the cool thing. Now that you've actually got this thing stable, right? You're not going to be moving this around a whole ton. Now you're ready to cut this guy.
Ooh, you need your X-Acto knife?
And I would actually recommend not cutting this with a razor.
Okay.
Use wire cutters instead. There's a reason. There's a lot of tension on this.
Oh yeah,
if you're using
true.
wire cut, if you're using the razor, this is very hard. It doesn't always cut clean. You can hurt yourself. It can snap. It can hurt you. Make sure you got a good hold on it, and just cut and look away as you cut with a nice good pair of wire cutters, which I'm gonna get. Boom. Nice wire cutters. These are what we're gonna use. Right?
Oh man,
Again?
there's someone in your box.
I'm gonna look away. Did you see the way that snapped and flew?
Yeah.
So just want to be aware, folks. Aware what you're doing. There we go, folks. We're all set. Be careful. Always mindful of where you put your tools. You don't want them scratching up your stuff. Now at this point, these corner pieces can come down.
Do you need help raising the scoreboard?
I should not.
Okay.
That's kind of interesting that they put that on there like that. So now the back box should just be a matter of raise it up. Now you're going to want to be careful when you're raising it back. Take a look at this cable and make sure that you provide it with a way to go back there, and also
Be careful of your fingers.
Get
You don't
your
want to
hand-
crush them.
yeah, get
The
your
back
hand
box is very heavy.
the heck out of there before you do some damage to your hand. So, but this should come down. What you don't want to have happen is what's starting to have happen here, where it's starting to pinch the cable. You might have to actually feed the cable down in a bit more. It should rest nice and flush, just like that. Can you still see me? You missing me? So come on back over here. So you want to make sure that you're flush with the back box. If you're having trouble bringing it down, check to make sure that you're not pinching that cable in there. That'll be bad news if you do that. This is also not done yet, so don't start moving, don't go sliding it around.
You have to fasten the back box onto the rest of the machine. That way it doesn't
Exactly right.
slam back onto the glass playfield
Crowded attic
cover.
is exactly right about that. So we got our keys up in the front here. There we go. All right.
It lost
by
you.
the way, remember the all-important, don't try to lift the pinball machine by the plunger. Again, if you've done that, I have nothing to say to you. This looks pretty nice, actually. Congratulations on your new Stern Pinball Machine. To be informed of the latest code updates, etc. All right, we don't need that in the coin box. Usually, we got a goodie box back here. So don't set anything down on there, as tempted as you'll be. Here's our power cord, so we're gonna need that momentarily. Here's the plumb bob, which I will never need, ever.
In case you're wondering what a plumb bob is, it's the thing that detects the tilts on the machine.
Not necessary. Alright, so this is the plug for the back box. Specifically what I'm looking for now is two things. One, this machine's got no balls. At least they don't ship with the balls inside the actual machine. They're in one of these bags. I think they're actually in this bag. But what I'm actually looking for is the bolts. You don't want to start playing or doing anything until we bolt this guy down.
I think this one might be a 6-ball game.
So I found the bolts. So before I go doing anything, you do want to be careful. I don't really like that the key dangles over the glass. You got to be careful just not to scratch the glass when you do that. There are some areas here where the bolts go in.
So are there 4 bolts?
There's two.
2.
There's two.
Because there's...
You can put them in the back or you can put them in the top.
Ah, you're putting them in the top?
I'm putting them in the top. It depends on if you're worried about them being accessible. So if you're out in the field, you wouldn't want them in the back.
True.
Because somebody could potentially mess around with it. This is interesting. I am noticing, I might actually end up using the back ones because I feel like I'm noticing a threading issue here.
Uh-oh.
Kind of wants to go in crooked.
Should I hold the
which
back box?
I don't quite like.
Should I hold it down?
No.
Okay.
Okay. I think I got it. If it doesn't feel right, don't force it. That's how you end up damaging things. That's why I like to hand tighten it first before you get the ratchet on there. Sometimes with the ratchet, you can just kind of force through something that's not right, and then you end up stripping the threads, and then you're screwed. So this is a Brian Eddy design. For those of you that don't know, Brian Eddy is the same Brian Eddy of Medieval Madness and Attack from Mars fame.
I could already tell just by looking at it. It looked like it had a similar layout to Attack from Mars. And I mean, it's a decent layout. It works. It works well, so.
So, we've got the back box is secured, right? You want to do that before you do anything. Now the next part that we're going to do, we're going to load the balls.
Ooh. Should we move
Crowded
the
Attic
tripod?
thinks that this is a 6-ball game.
It felt like it. It felt like there's more than
He said
4.
it felt like a 6-ball game. We'll see if he knows. We'll see if he can tell just by handling the balls.
It just sounds so wrong. I'm sorry.
You said it, Danny. So it is a 2, 4, 6-ball game, dude.
Yes!
You got it. I have a glove that I can use for the days that I want to impersonate Michael Jackson. No, I'm just kidding. This is used to avoid getting oils from your hand. onto the balls. Now, just so that you know, when they come from the factory, they might actually have oil on there. So it is good to maybe, I just kind of make sure that I've rubbed whatever oil or whatever may or may not have been in the packaging off. You definitely don't want to notice I'm as far away from the screen or far away from the glass as I can get right now as I'm handling these.
Pinballs are very heavy and they could easily break glass.
Easily dropped,
yes.
For sure. So I'm going to undo the latches on the bottom. There's a latch on the left and a latch on the right on the Stern games.
It's the same design in general for like the table itself as the Monsters one, right?
This is really interesting, actually. Here's something that I'm noticing that I did not notice on my Monsters. I'm noticing light scratches
on the
all
glass
over the playfield, actually.
Oh,
no, the glass is fine. But you can kind of see as I go over quite a few scratches in the playfield. Notice that one right around there from the wheel up into the window. By the way, for the few that you can see on here, there's literally dozens. Like if you look at them, if you look at this playfield, there's quite a few. And there's a burr right here in the playfield. Like it actually pops up, bubbles up just a little bit. What I don't understand is why on a brand new table there's a lot of scratches up along the playfield. There's actually quite a few scratches on here.
Oh wow, yeah, I can see them.
Yeah, I'm gonna take some pictures actually a little later of the scratches on my playfield. I wasn't
like I thought they were gonna be kind of not noticeable, but
no, they're very obvious.
Yeah, like one glance is enough.
Now, when removing the glass, usually a thumb here and a thumb here, and then pull gently down, and the glass will kind of slide. Normally, I might ask somebody to stand here and hold the glass just in case. Sometimes the glass will naturally creep downward on its own. In this case, actually, the glass is pretty tight in there. So I think I'll be good to just kind of pull it down the couple inches that I need and then just gently set the balls in there. I usually will hold them in my shirt away from the table.
Should I have a hand here to make sure?
No, that's fine.
Okay.
I'm going to take one and just set it. You don't want to drop it. You don't want to throw it. You just want to kind of take it. And I make sure I'm holding it like this. I lower it into the machine and then I let it go. I'm not dropping it in there. I'm not throwing it in there. I'm literally gently letting it go. Just make sure that you don't drop on the glass. Make sure you don't drop on the table. All right, so all 6 balls were loaded. We will push this back. We'll place the top back on. We will latch it back down. And with that, you're ready to fire it up. So I'm gonna stop there. Hey folks, it's a few days later and I'm ending the unboxing video a little bit differently than I thought I would. I thought I'd just tell you what to expect in the follow-up videos and thank you for watching and move on. Instead, I noticed some things with my table that I wasn't quite sure about. And I have a whole bunch of footage now that I'm like, well, what do I do with this, right? Like I literally spent like 5-10 minutes combing over the playfield and obsessing over, is this a problem? Is this a problem? That kind of thing. I even put off playing it and booting it up for a few days because I'm like, what do I do? Am I supposed to accept it like this or what's going on? But it occurred to me, this is part of pinball. whether it's used or new in box, these things aren't always, I think people assume that because they're coming from a factory and it's brand spanking new and it's in the box, that it's going to definitely be flawless, right? Just plug in and play. That may not be the case. So what do you do when things go wrong? How do you actually use support? Well, there's a couple things, right? I do want to give you a heads up that there is a number underneath the lockdown bar that on the Stern games would give you a direct 1-800 number line to Stern support. General etiquette, though, is that you would call your distributor if you have one, if you purchased it from a distributor and not somebody that's like, you know, flipping it as a used or something like that. If you're buying it brand new from a distributor, the general etiquette is call that distributor and try to work through your questions and your issues with them. A lot of common things they can answer based on either general pinball knowledge or specific experience with that table and other individuals that they've sold it with or games that they might have on site. So that would be the thing to try. They can help you figure out, hey, do we need to take this to the actual manufacturer? In this case, Stern, right, would be the manufacturer, ultimately backing the warranty. Like if you need new parts, like if a part is missing or broken or something like that. If there are cosmetic issues, like if you notice that there was damage to, let's say, back glass or the cabinet or something like that, or playfield, if you think that there's playfield damage, you know, you would take the appropriate pictures, all that stuff, send it to your distributor. Distributor should help get you in contact with Stern. The other thing too is that they can usually go up to bat for you. So if over time you work with the same distributor, they kind of get a feel for you. They get a feel for your familiarity with pinball and all that kind of stuff. And so when you start getting issues, even if the issues are like outside the norm, or they seem like, wait a minute, is this really what working through your distributor can do? Is if you have a regular relationship with that distributor, they can actually go up to bat for you and say, hey, look, I know this person. I've sold them X number of pinballs. It can be kind of nice having a distributor to go up to bat for you like that. If you don't have one, certainly pull up the lockdown bar. There's a 1-800 number there. Call Stern support. Just don't be surprised if you do have a distributor. Don't be surprised if they ask you, how come you didn't contact the distributor with this problem? They actually did that for me with Munsters. I didn't know the etiquette, and it was my first Stern, and so I just called the number on support when I was having certain things not working. And they did help me out, but they did ask me, this was new in box? Who's your distributor? How come, were they not able to help you? How come you didn't contact them for help? So I learned the etiquette pretty quick. They were polite about it, but it was still made me feel a little awkward. So back to how I originally intended to wrap this up. Where are we going next? Folks, next is going to be a video about after unboxing, first time power on, installing updates, and my first initial impressions and thoughts on the game and the playfield. And when I hear back from Stern regarding the ticket that I have open to them through my distributor, I will let you folks know in a follow-up what they responded with and how I feel about the response.